Hi, my name is Hunt Conrad with the Golden State Salmon Association. We're going to be trying to bring you various nuggets or black belt, basically higher end levels of tackle tips throughout the year that I think we're going to put more fish in the back of your boat. These are going to be brought to you from various members of our Golden State Salmon Association community, and they should really enhance your ability to catch more fish, put more fish on the deck, and enjoy the sport of salmon fishing. This segment's going to be about how to rig a cut plug hoochie. And as you can see, I've got various hoochies on my board here. But the first thing we need to do is tie a 2-hook rig. And I do things a little bit differently on this. I typically will use fluorocarbon, although it's not required. But for the purposes of our demonstration, I'm going to use 40-pound test leader material, just because it's a little bit easier to see, hopefully, in the deal. We're going to be using 2 separate hooks and 2 separate hook sizes. I use a 5/0 and I use a trailing 3/0. I like the 3/0 in red. It just adds a little bit more color. Call me, well, you can call me a lot of things, but this is the way I set up my 2-hook rig. So for my trailer, I use a 3/0, either Owner or Gamakatsu. I use a Snell, but I leave a 6-inch tag line, and you'll see why. But this is going to be my trailer, okay? We're going to tie a basic standard egg loop knot, which all of you steelhead fishermen know how to do. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Put this through, leave a loop, and pinch that so that you can get at that loop that you pinched with your second hand. I use 3 fingers. I'm going to tie once, pulling that tag end through. That's the hardest part about this. Twice, pulling that tag end through, and then 3 times, pulling the tag end through so that it comes straight out the back. Then we're going to go ahead and secure that knot. Again, that second knot that we tied basically is your bumper knot, and now we have a nice tight bait loop knot. All right. Okay, once we have that knot secure, you'll see why I use this tag end or 6-inch piece. I run that through the front of the eye again. So now I've actually got 2 lines coming through here. Now I'm going to tie my front end, and this is with a 5/0. And again, don't give me any grief for the barbed hooks. We're going to barb them, take the barbs off when we go fishing. The other thing that I do on this particular want to run that tag end line from the red hook to the black hook again, so we're doubling up. And this is really the whole one of the cruxes of it, is that now we've got 2 pieces of 40-pound test or 30-pound test in between these 2 hooks. I like to run one up and one down, so that I'm going to tie it just like that. And then this distance could vary depending on what kind of bait holder you're going to use, but for my hoochie setup, I usually use right about that. Maybe it's an inch between the back hook and the front of the other. We're going to go ahead and tie another bait loop. 5, 6, 7. Again, running this through. Now you've got, again, 2 lines coming out that front eye. And again, we're going to pinch it, and we're going to roll this over. Now this is probably the hardest part, because you got to get that second hook to go through that loop that you've created, so that you can finish the knot with the bumper knot, is what it's really called. All right. Now we're going to pull that tight. Always moisten your knots before you pull them tight. And this is what it looks like, all right? It's just a beautiful setup, super strong. I get rid of this. But I use this leader setup for almost all of my bait holders, okay? It's super strong. I like the double loop in here. I can't tell you how many times I've hooked a fish and had that trailer break off. Now with that double loop system or double line system in there, that just doesn't happen. You can put this straight to a bait holder and tie on your leader. All of these have double hooks on them, and we'll go through that in the next segment. But basically, this is how you start with your double hook and double line setup. Okay, the next part of the setup is to actually take your 2-hook rig, and we're going to take a Hoochie, all right, this is your standard Gold Star. It's an Octopus 3.5. I like this one. I like the Purple Haze, which many of you know, and then I also like a blue one. All right, in order to make this work for my setup, basically, I snip off the front edge. I don't snip off a lot, but I snip off enough so that there's a hole that's created. And I want just a little bit larger hole, and I'll show you why I need to do that. All right, the next thing I do is I find what I would call the bottom of the Hoochie, and I pull 2 strands out, and I'll show you why I do that. All right, so now I've got the tip of it nipped, and I've got a little bit of a slot. I take the 2-hook rig, slide it into the Hoochie, and here's why I have that slot, is so that when I set up the plug cut, this hook is going to slide right in there like that, and that trailing red hook is going to be right at the edge of the skirt. All right, I measure out 26 inches. That's about 26, maybe 24, but I usually use 26 inches, which should be about 3 times your length of your flasher or dodger, whichever you're choosing. You're gonna need a flasher or dodger with this rig. You just can't trail this out the back of the boat and without any motion. It's gotta kick. Then I tie a snap on it, or a swivel. And that's basically just a standard knot. Whatever knot there makes you feel good. All right, so that's what it looks like for a standard plug cut Hoochie setup. Okay, Dennis just asked, why do I use various things at different times for different stuff? So you can see that I have a wide array of Hoochies in different colors and different schemes. I got to tell you that early in the season, when that water is super clear, this blue and this purple red seem to do the best. I think that the red kind of has, the purple has that kind of krill like thing, and I don't know why blue works so well, but basically it seems to work better in clear water than it does in that chocolatey red color. When the water turns more chocolatey and red, I tend to use more of the Purple Haze or just the sort of the straight anchovy look. Those tend to be the best for that. So that's going to be later in the season. It's going to be in kind of more July, August. I gotta tell you, these little guys, these short belly rockfish, have caught some of the biggest salmon I've ever caught, typically up north, Crescent City, Trinidad, and then down into Shelter Cove. But basically these are designed to imitate a short belly rockfish, which is only about that big, and they have these huge schools of them, and when these big fish just are down on the bottom, 100 feet, 120 feet, they're just sitting there cruising around just chowing on these short belly rockfish. It's pretty amazing how that really works. And then over on this side, I basically always have a couple leaders set up, and then just in case I run into some anchovies, I've got a little sabiki set up. On this board, these are basically all of my bait holders. I've got some old FBRs. I really like these crippled anchovies. Actually, that's a Trinidad. I also really like the Trinidads, but these are the FBRs and the crippled anchovies. Again, all bait holders. The brighter colors tend to work at certain times. The UV, I think, works great when it's deep, when you're down 125, 150 feet. And then, of course, the watermelon colors are pretty good all the time. And then this Brad's cut, that's just, that's a fun one to just throw out there just in case. And then my dad used to love these salmon flies. I'll still throw that out every once in a while. It's a pretty cool tool.